Clock in. Clock in.
We on our Grussle, our grinding, our hustle.
But there are others who we're not really putting time in. We're not putting the work in. We're not clocking in so that we can do what God is calling us to do.
Here with my brothers again, I just want to say I'm glad, I'm happy, amen, and I'm blessed.
Amen.
Here we are. Well, let's get right into the segments, brother.
Amen.
What is this, 96?
96 of them things.
Clock in. Clock in.
Round of applause for 96. It's only
We on our Grussle, our grinding, our hustle.
Nico in the building. I'm
Here
here.
with my brothers again, I just want to say I'm glad, I'm happy, amen, and I'm blessed.
Amen.
Here we are.
Last but not least.
Federico.
Yeah, it's tough to be running.
This beat goes so crazy, I don't even want to say nothing. It's tough, y'all let it ride.
We on our Grussle, our grinding, our hustle.
Clock in. Clock in.
That's tough, man.
So yeah, he's another round of applause for Grussle,
tough.
man, on the beat.
Can we put a camera on Grussle for a second?
We on our Grussle, our grinding, our hustle.
Episode 96,
Yeah.
getting close to 100, man. At the end of this month, I think the last
Is it?
Tuesday in January, or first Tuesday in February, whatever. I think it's first Tuesday in February will be 100. But man,
That's big.
crazy.
Clock in.
And
Clock
still just
in.
getting started, for real. But before I get ahead of myself, co-host Clocking the Podcast here, Marshall Hamilton.
Co-host Austin Hamilton here. As he said, 96. And we appreciate you all always for tuning in, sharing, liking, reposting, word of mouth, anything. We appreciate it. If you said it sucks, hey, any press is good press, right?
Encouragement, people who just say, I see what y'all are doing, keep going. I think that's the thing that I like the most.
That helps.
Because
That definitely helps.
A lot of people started podcasts during the pandemic. Not many are standing, and this isn't easy. We take time every week, pretty much, to do it. We love to do it, but we could very easily just say we don't feel like doing it. Right? We're not getting paid a ton of money yet for this. So we appreciate y'all's encouragement, and we definitely wouldn't be at 96 episodes without y'all. So shout out to the fans.
Clock in.
And the haters.
Clock in.
And the haters.
You know any of the haters? Just curious.
Nah, actually.
Okay. All right.
You be getting dislikes on the YouTube. They don't.
Okay.
show you
Yeah.
who we are.
That counts.
We get some dislikes. We've had some
Somebody fried me one time.
What they say?
I forgot what he said, but it was you. I think you even laughed at it.
Yeah, I was cracking up.
It was hilarious.
We've had
We need that though.
We've had a couple people comment on our Instagram
Just
posts.
what are y'all talking about? Like, who gave you this platform?
You know what? It was about
Was it the Lucas stuff?
Nah, I think it was either about Giannis. Or
Oh,
Elijah
yeah.
Bryant. I think it was Elijah
Nah,
Bryant.
no, it was the list, and I forgot Giannis. But then I obviously I cleared it up in the episode.
Yeah,
But the clip only showed me like talking about like I think it was the top 5
most skilled players
or just best
most
players,
most talented players. Yeah.
And like forgot Giannis for some reason. And the dude commented was like you need to take the platform away from this kid. It was hilarious. So shout out to him, man.
Yeah, we need more. We need
Shout
more
out
of
to him.
that energy. I just want to argue with somebody.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
Was you trying to argue with?
Not you. We
You
argue.
see what LeBron was talking? Nah, we're not.
What was LeBron talking about? You know, they drug tested Donovan Mitchell. They should be drug tested.
Yo, he
LeBron.
got up so high on that joint, on the reverse oop.
LeBron, yeah. That's what they need.
I hadn't seen him get up that high since Cleveland.
That's what they need to be
The
drug
first
tested.
stint.
Whatever Ivan.
That has to be a joke.
Whatever Ivan Drago and them was on, that's what LeBron.
That has to be
LeBron's
like that has to be a joke, right? Like every time somebody goes off, hey, you're gonna get drug tested. Like at this point, like it's a joke, right?
Like it's a joke, like the league doing it.
Yeah, like
I don't know, man. I mean,
because nobody ever gets caught. First of all, I mean
I'm not gonna say Hoopers don't.
my conspiracy with the NBA, they don't.
I'm not gonna say they don't use like performance enhancing drugs. I don't know. I mean, it's not common like it was in baseball and football, but
You don't hear nothing about basketball players.
yeah, I mean, it may happen. I don't know, but we would be well. First off, before we get into some of the quick topics, quick hitters. Maybe that's what we call this segment, quick hitters.
Quick hitters.
Yeah, but gotta shout out our sponsor, man. It's our first episode in the new year, so let's shout that out.
Oh yeah, Happy New Year, guys.
Clock in.
Happy New Year to
Clock in.
Got some rest.
I went to sleep at 11.
Yeah.
I didn't even finish the whole Ohio State. It was at TCU. Ohio State, Georgia. Yeah.
Great game.
Yeah, great game. But look, man, I said this on my IG. Stop talking about what you're about to do this year. And no, just do it, man. Just do it.
The gym was packed today.
All
Like-
like them people way. I seen the Instagram post. It was like,
Dog, it was
y'all
packed.
don't go to the gym being in people way.
Like I'm like
That was the funniest thing.
people I've never seen before
Of course.
today.
That's why I go at lunchtime because no one's
Like, it
ever
was
in there.
packed. I was not I thought that was like somewhat of a myth, but it still
It's
exists.
definitely not a myth, dog.
It still exists.
I mean, look, shout out to the people.
And
who-
I'm not hating on it.
Like if you went and you're trying to
Yeah.
start something, like we're not gonna discourage you, but you know,
Hopefully it sticks.
just be consistent. Clock in, you know, consistently.
Clock in.
But let's get into the sponsor
Clock in.
before we get ahead of ourselves. This podcast is brought to you by Iko Underwood and with the Arista Bracelet. You see some of her swag here on the table if you're watching YouTube. But Iko is a registered real estate agent in Virginia. Iko owns 3 homes, is an investor on 2 of them, and is obviously a real estate agent. So she kind of covers all the bases when it comes to, you know, knowing how to buy homes for herself and kind of come at you from that perspective, helping other people buy and sell homes. And like I've said on other episodes, you know, this economy is looking kind of rough for this upcoming year. So, you know, it's a great time to be strategic if you are in the market to buy or sell your home, or just want to get more information about what it may take, you know, a year or 2 from now based off what's going on in the economy. But shout out to Iko. She has an episode or 2 episodes with us. Episode 56 is where she really gets into her story. And, you know, one thing about Iko is you want someone who is going to be, you know, in the trenches with you. No pun intended. She was a Marine veteran. She is a Marine veteran, so no pun intended. But she's been through a lot. She's overcame a lot, and you want to have someone, you know, who's been through that adversity and overcome it, you know, in your corner when it comes to making a big decision like this, right? So
When can the pun be intended?
I don't know.
Wait, what now?
When can the pun be intended?
It's up to you. It's completely up to the person.
Okay. Sorry.
I think 9 out of 10 times it is intended, but
You
But you just
that.
say it's like a
sounds
courtesy
better.
thing.
Yeah.
E, do you know?
It's to like just not offend somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
It depends on the context, really.
Can we clip this up and just ask the people? Like, when is the pun intended? I don't know. We say that, and
These
it's
are
like,
these are things we have to figure out in 2020.
yeah, fact.
There's a lot of things we say that,
Yeah,
that
we'll
don't make sense.
add that to the list.
Don't get me started with them, bro.
I know you have some.
Where's the 10th dentist? You know, they
What?
always be like, 9 out of 10 dentists recommend this product. What's wrong with the 10th one, bro? Where he
That's
be
still in
at?
school.
That's you to do
Where
that.
he be at?
Yeah, no one gets the like 4 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, like, where's the 5th star at?
I've never been anywhere where there was like 10 dentists where I was like, let me ask.
10 out of 10?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always 9 out of 10.
Okay. So that's Dennis, and then is a pun. When is the pun intended? This is something we got to keep track of. When we start getting our fan pages, they're gonna hold us accountable to this too.
Facts. Before we get into some of the main topics, again, a couple quick hitters. Obviously, everyone's been following the Damar Hamlin situation, which is, it's crazy how it all played out. I mean, I saw it live.
I think we were watching together, right?
You came down after. I think you came. I was watching it in the kitchen. You were in your room, and you came down after, like, they stopped playing or whatever. But it's just heartbreaking to see anything like that in sports, especially a violent sport like football that already kind of has a bad rap when it comes to stuff like this. This was kind of unprecedented though, and I think the thing that I got the most out of it is, we really see these people as entertainers, when it comes to professional athletes, right? We don't really look at them as human beings often. Now, people who have been athletes, I think that's not as common of a perception that they're not really, human beings. They're out there to entertain me. But I think this event like really humanized an athlete more than I think anything I've ever seen, because of the life-threatening situation that happened. So it's just a reminder that we live in a world, man, where and we've all been guilty of it. You're calling a guy in your team that messes up a bomb, or just saying stuff like that, right? And it's because, again, we're kind of emotionally invested. But at the end of the day, these guys and women for other professional sports, they're human beings just like we are, and to see that, I think really made a lot of people change their perspective on what really matters. Because at the end of the day, you could be the biggest fan of whatever sport, whatever team, whatever player. This crap doesn't affect our lives, man. In the grand scheme of things. So, prayers out to Damar Hamlin and his family, and everyone who was impacted by it. The Bills, the Bengals, and I'm optimistic that he'll pull through. But yeah, it was just tough.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, and I don't need to get into a whole spiel about it because it's been everywhere.
Right.
Some of the things that came to my mind, like just from watching ESPN and the broadcast, they just should have went to I tweeted this. They should have went to an ESPN Classic or like something else, because they just kept repeating the same stuff over and over.
Susie
again.
Colbert, I think, is who it was.
I don't know her name.
Yeah, she's trying to do her job, but McFarlane. I mean, him and Adam Schefter were clearly
they want to talk about.
They're like,
there's nothing to talk about, and they just kept going back to it. But that was the first thing. And the second thing, it was just cool to see both teams just kind of come together.
Right.
Both teams were praying together. I saw Burrow and Josh Allen kind of hug each other. Yeah, man. I mean, at the end of the day, especially for those players, like, the NFL is a brotherhood, although they're on opposite teams. To see, a fellow counterpart go down like that, especially the way he went down.
Right.
I mean, I would imagine 99% of those players have never seen something like that happen, let alone in their lives, like on the field.
Right.
Like to see someone actually have to get CPR, it's just, it was tough to see from the TV. I can't even imagine in person. But yeah, prayers to him and his family, the Bills. I mean, the entire NFL, because it affects everybody. Like these guys have to go out and perform, and still play that game at a high level, but understanding the risk of it. I can't imagine what they're going through. I think as far as an update, I saw that he is breathing better, so that's a positive. So just praying that he pulls through, man, and like you said, at this point, his life is way bigger than the game of football, and I'm sure we're gonna get into it. But to see like Skip Bayless' tweet, I don't understand how he still has a job and a platform. Like after something like that, like, and I understand his role in media, like he's pushes the envelope, but like that just took it to another level. Just the disrespect to Hamlin, his family, his teammates, coaches, the league, other players. I mean, if you look at the response, it was all from former players.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't. I like Shannon Sharp, but after that, I can't support that guy anymore, man. I'm sorry.
So when I first read the tweet, I had the same reaction. But when I reread it, I'm going to read it. I think that the timing of it was bad. But if you listen to what he's actually saying, I'm going to play devil's advocate because I've seen other people post this, and I reread it myself. And again, I'm going to look at it objectively. So he said, no doubt the NFL is considering postponing the rest of this game, but how this late in the season, a game this magnitude is crucial to the regular season outcome, which suddenly seems so relevant. So the way I read that is, he's basically saying, like, how, not like questioning that, like, should they, but like, how can they postpone a game like this because it's so unprecedented? And he put at the end, it's crucial to the regular season outcome, which suddenly seems so relevant. Basically saying, like, this doesn't really matter, but how can they, like, logistically, how can they postpone it with the game this late in the season, and considering the magnitude. So I don't agree with the wording, but if you reread it, he's not saying like they shouldn't. I don't like Skip. I'll make that clear. I don't like Skip Bayless. I don't. He's an idiot to me, and he's a troll, and he's on the network for on the air for saying stupid stuff. So that's my take. I don't. The timing of it and the wording, it can make it seem like, oh, it's just Skip being Skip. But I think he was just genuinely questioning, like, man, like, how do you, like, this is unprecedented. Like, how do you cancel a game like this? And then he said at the end, like, which obviously suddenly seems so irrelevant. So his choice of words wasn't the best, but I don't think he meant it like, oh.
I think he knew what he was doing. knowing him as a troll, which you said, I think he knew what he was doing. And like you said, read the room, the timing of it. Who freaking cares, dog? Like, prayers to Hamlin and his family, and leave it at that.
I agree. I'm just, again, I'm reading it. I'm reading it for,
No, I understand.
The way that
I can't even play devil advocate for that dude.
Yeah, because it's Skip. Skip, it makes it worse.
Because we know what his agenda is. Like, he lives. If you look at his numbers of tweets, retweets, likes, I can guarantee you that was probably his best performing tweet in the past.
Yeah,
6 months.
he thrives on being the villain. Like that's again. I don't like this dude. I read it, and I read his
You have any thoughts on it, Nico?
I mean, I understand his intentions, but it wasn't perceived that way.
Exactly, and I agree with that 100%.
In the past, when other people have had good intentions, but their intentions weren't perceived that way, it was blown up out of proportion.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I feel like this isn't getting the same energy.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. Yeah.
Well, you know, Shannon didn't show up today, I heard, because of well, they say it's because of what he said about DeMar Hamlin. Now,
they got into it
a couple weeks ago. He tried to play Shannon when he was talking about Brady, and he was like, "What were you
better than him
when you were 40? You weren't doing," and that's what he does. Like he those low blows.
Yeah,
I just don't
personal.
Think that, I don't think that this one because of his track record, it adds to the to the fire. But again,
can you apologize though?
Huh?
Can you apologize?
He did.
Skip did.
Yeah,
I didn't see it.
Yeah, he apologized.
He tweeted. He did a whole 2-hour show and apologized.
He may have said something on the show too, but
I don't know about the show.
I'm not watching that show anymore. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really watch it much anyway. But like I said, I'm not defending dude because I don't like him. I'm just looking at the tweet and I'm interpreting it for what it seemed like his intentions were.
It's time for him to retire.
But he should have been off of the air.
We'll cancel Jamel Hill and all these other people. Like it's time.
That's what I'm saying.
It's time to cancel him, dog.
That's what I'm saying. He should have been.
All I'm saying.
He should have been off. He should have been off the air after first.
It's time to cancel him.
After
we don't. Media will be fine without him.
Yeah, look, I have no. Like I said, he should have been gone years ago because of some of the stuff he said. But let's keep it real. Like, there's an element of. I know this is probably going down a different path, but like, his most popular shows have been with a black counterpart.
Yeah.
Right. So there's definitely an element of
division, man.
Choosing symbolic division, and also Skip can he says things that is the meaning to someone's IQ at times, right? And oftentimes it's to another black man like Stephen A. and Shannon and so and I'm not saying dude is racist. I'm just saying, the media and the world in general, they feed off of chaos and conflict. That's why we watch these debate shows, for people to call each other idiots and all types of stuff.
People watching freaking Real Housewives or hip hop. Why do people watch that show? Because it's drama, and people are gonna argue. They're gonna fight.
Yeah,
it's just what sells. But
he's
I don't buy it.
Yeah, and again, like I said, if he goes, I have no issue with it. And if this is the last straw, then I get it. But yeah, I mean, if he was black, he would
like you said, Nico, like, keep the same energy.
He would have been gone.
Kyrie lost a millions of dollars from Nike, but I mean that's.
Yeah, I might get us canceled.
Yeah, we're not gonna go there.
I might get us. Yeah, I can't be Federico off of that. Last thing, Donovan Mitchell, 71 points. I mean, good gracious. He was 22 for 34.
Yeah, that's
clock it.
I don't think we've
Kobe's my guy. All right. When Kobe when he had 81. Yeah. It definitely wasn't.
Like I've seen
like 7. Hold on, let me do the math.
Like that's not if you think about that, dog, that's not even
65%.
That's not even a lot of shots,
bro. That's 65, and he shot 65% from the field.
I've seen Kobe, Jordan, Bron. Like I've seen the best of the best shoot that and probably end up with like 40, 50 maybe. Like
Kobe was 28 for 46, 81. So
28. What? Say that again.
28 for 46.
And he shot 34.
34. And I mean, 28 for 46.
I mean, that's still.
It's still a good. That's 60%.
Still,
that's still crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was gonna be like that, but I'm
How
curious.
many free throws did Donovan have?
Kobe took 20. Kobe took 20. You said Donovan had 20.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that helps.
And the game going to overtime.
Yeah, which helped.
I think it did.
Went in OT, yeah. But the thing is, they were down like 16 going in the fourth.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I think, if I remember correctly, I think Kobe and them. I don't think they were up when he went crazy.
They were never. It was never because they got down like 20, I think.
Yeah, that's whole. But to even be in the conversation with that game is unreal, and
that's the most since Kobe, right? Since '81.
Yeah, but the other thing is like Kobe was known, especially at that time, for like being a volume shooter. Mitchell isn't really a volume guy like that, and I don't even consider. I mean, he literally did what he had to do to win the game. Like it wasn't like he was just out there trying to get stats.
Yeah.
So
I haven't had a chance to watch the game or highlights yet, but I will tonight. But he's really good. I think comparison wise, like he's got some D Wade in him. But like I think defensively he could be even better defensively just with his length, his athleticism.
Yeah,
like I really like that. I really like that Cleveland team.
Yeah, I like them.
Like
they're like low key they're like the Grizzlies of the East.
Yeah,
but without all of this.
Yeah,
all the talking. They can make a run to the conference finals, man.
They can make a run
to the finals.
Yeah, like they have talent, dog.
Yeah, Karis LeVert, Garland, Jared Allen, Mitchell.
What's the young boy's name? He probably has the most upside out of anyone on that team.
Mobley. Evan Mobley, yeah.
Just the length. They can score at the guard. Yeah, they're scary, man.
Yeah,
but
I like them.
Yeah, Donovan, man, shout out to him. Let me know on the crowd. Really, that's some meat. Yeah, he's good.
He's definitely good. Yeah, he's definitely good. And it was a weird. Last thing I'll say on it, it was a weird trade because it's like from Utah to Cleveland. I mean, Cleveland was kind of they were an up and coming team last year, but you don't really see small market to small market like moves like
not
that.
With
not with someone like he has his own shoe.
Yeah,
he has his own shoe. If it was like. Not downplaying dude, but like Zach LaVine, for example, right? Like Zach LaVine is kind of a,
he's like a tier 3.
Yeah, he's definitely not like a tier 1 or 2 guy. I would put Donovan in tier 2. But let's get into one of the main topics, and this may be the only one. We'll see how time flows. But I've been watching Last Chance U basketball season 2.
Same.
And I really like it. I like the production of it. I just like watching the basketball documentary in general, and it's real, right? It's not like they're trying to paint a certain narrative for a coach or a certain player. It's raw, for the most part. And one of the things that I learned from it, and one of the things I think that would be valuable for coaches, trainers, even parents, to learn and to glean from it is, you need to understand the human being before you understand the player, before you can really truly coach that player. As I'll just say, as men in general, we tend to be kind of stuck in our ways. As coaches, most coaches are know-it-alls. Most coaches, they already kind of have a predetermined opinion of a player just based off of, a limited amount of time around them. Not saying they don't spend time around them, but if you're around that player, 2 hours during practice and then the game, like you don't really get to know especially in high school. You don't spend a ton of time like off the court together. College, you may have a little bit more freedom, but I bring this up because there's a kid named Josh Phillips, 6'9", power forward, like high motor guy.
Before you get into that, can you just explain kind of what Last Chance U is to the people?
Yeah, good point. So it's Last Chance U pretty much is a documentary about a junior college, and that's where the last chance part comes. A lot of these kids either came from another college program, usually at a higher level like Division I or II. Something happened, whether it was academic or behavioral or whatever, coaching change that led them to this junior college, East LA College. Or it's a high school player who didn't get the amount of offers or looks that they wanted. They want to use the JUCO route to kind of boost their recruiting, notoriety and stature.
And another word for community college.
Community college, yeah.
2-year associate's degree.
Right.
Institution.
Yep. So
and it actually started with football first, like the first, I guess.
Netflix documentary.
Yeah, Netflix documentary was the football Last Chance U. Also, really good.
Yeah, and I actually haven't watched the football one. I need to go back.
Oh, you haven't? Yeah.
No, I need to go back.
It's really good.
But the point is, these kids really have a year or two to get to another university to play basketball, and a lot of these kids come from not the best backgrounds, and if they don't make it in the a lot of them are going to be in bad situations. So, anyways, there's a kid named Josh Phillips, 6'9" kid, raw athleticism, and he would have a tendency to have, kind of blow-ups and attitude issues, and or he would just kind of shut down, when things were, kind of chaotic or hectic, or, things are moving too fast. And Coach Mosley, who I like a lot, he kind of reminds me of myself in the sense that, very high standards when it comes to the fundamentals, to playing hard, to being a good teammate, paying attention to detail. And he's not an easy guy to play for. If you're lazy or you don't want to be coached hard or coached right. So he would kind of go at this dude, Josh, because of his attitude and because of the way he would, shut down if he didn't do something right, or coach would try to tell him to do something and he may not do it the right way, and coach would get frustrated with him. And then one day, a guy who recruited Josh in high school called Coach Mosley to check on him. And he said, "How's Josh doing?" And Coach said, "No, he's doing pretty well, but he has his days." And he was like, "Yeah, did you know he had autism?" And Coach Mosley had no idea, and it stunned him. And he was like, "No, I didn't know that." And he was like, "Yeah, that's kind of why some coaches, out of high school didn't really want to bring him to their program because of some of the behavioral issues and things that came with the autism. But he's a good kid, and I want to see him succeed." That's what the guy who recruited him said. So then after that, Coach Mosley started coaching this kid completely differently, and he actually talked about how he was ashamed of how he honestly didn't like this kid at a lot of points. Like personally didn't like him because of the way that he acted. And
what school did he come from?
I don't know where. I think he was in. Like, he came there from high school.
Okay, this wasn't the kid from Washington.
Nah, that's a different kid. But that kid has another story as well. Brian Penn Johnson, I believe. This kid, single parent home, was homeless for years, going from shelter to shelter, and pretty much was like the man of the house from age like 13 up until like
the kid that went to LSU?
Washington and LSU. Yeah,
I didn't even realize.
And the thing I love about him, man, and this is another point, more from a teammate perspective, he knew that this kid Josh was, had his struggles, and Josh didn't tell anyone that he had autism. Like none of his teammates, very few people in his life knew that. But he would kind of put like kind of console Josh. They kind of had this relationship where he would push Josh and Josh would push him. And there were times where Josh, because they played the same position pretty much, and there were times where Josh would play more than him, and he was cheering for this dude the most on the bench. Now, this is someone who came from 2 high major programs, was like a top recruit in high school. People thought he'd be like one and done, and he's at East LA College. And he had his struggles, but it didn't affect how good of a teammate he was to Josh and even to others. So,
maybe you're further enough, because from what I've seen from that kid,
the first 4 episodes,
that's where I'm at.
Yeah, but
he didn't have what you're talking about.
Yeah, but
I didn't see that though.
You'll see. He gets.
Hopefully, it gets better.
He gets better.
First 4 episodes, nah.
Yeah,
he was sulking on the bench. Yeah,
he gets better. But the point is this, as teachers, as coaches, trainers, as adults that have authority over kids, a lot of times we don't take the time to understand that person's story. And what ends up happening is we end up prejudging them and coaching them or teaching them or disciplining them without really knowing them and them feeling like this person truly cares about me. It cares enough about me to get to know me and know, kind of what makes me tick and things like that. So that was a powerful part for me because I see it happen all the time where kids who are, who aren't necessarily bad kids, get kind of written off by coaches and have a short leash when really they just need, going back to, the guy Jason Wilson, who has a really good documentary, Cave of Adullam. He talked about this. This is the last thing I'll say. I'll let you talk. Particularly black kids, because every kid on this team is black, and I don't make it about race. Well, the reality is black people, particularly black men, are the most traumatized people throughout history, and that crap affects a lot of the kind of stereotypes that we have. A lot of that is based off of things that have happened to our people in the past. So he talks about how black boys don't need more discipline; they need more love. Mm-hmm. And this example is definitely a testament to that. So
I really enjoy watching Mosley and how he deals with those kids. Honestly, I would say coaching at the JUCO level, probably the hardest job, and probably the hardest coaching job
in all of sports. Yeah, for sure, 100%.
I mean, you got to think about giving the name Last Chance. That means there's a certain urgency, a certain selfishness for them to get to the level they want to get to. So having to manage all that and still have a culture and still have a standard and still want to win games, be successful.
And help these kids get degrees.
And help them get degrees and deal with the personal stuff that they have. I don't know how you would do that, bro. Like it takes a special person to coach that, and kudos to him, man, because he's done a great job. Because I think what he's getting across to those kids, man, like he coaches them really hard, but he also loves them hard too. But he's trying to prepare them for life, life after basketball. These kids aren't. Maybe one kid will end up playing in the NBA from the teams that he's coached. Maybe one. I mean, there's some talented kids, but it's just the reality of it. Yeah. So the lessons that these kids are going to learn and that they can reflect back on is much, much bigger than basketball. So when you guys watch that show, just really think about that. These kids are, like you said, they come from tough backgrounds. Some of them have kids, right? Some of them, were homeless at one point. Some of them, this is literally it for them.
Some didn't have parents. There's a kid who both his parents died.
Yeah. And they're battling through this And, you know, kudos to Netflix for even like documenting this, because it's powerful, and it gives these kids a platform, and, you know, hopefully they can get some opportunities out of it outside of basketball. But yeah, man, it's a really cool show because it really shows like the different personalities that coaches face all the time.
Yeah.
Like, you got kids that literally think they're better than everyone on the team, but in practice, like, they struggle. Or, you know, there's a kid that you might not even know, oh, he could do this, but when he gets his chance, he's elevating the team. Like the kid that you said reminds me of you, I forget his name.
Damani.
Yeah. So it's just like a beautiful, just different stories that are intertwined into one. That, you know, again, it just kind of reflects life through the game of basketball. So, yeah, I love it, man. Like I said, I'm only on episode 4. I may have finished 4. But, yeah, man. But I think what it also shows, like, and we talked about this, practice matters so much. Like, and I know they don't show everything, but if you look at, I mean, I would say half of the
documentaries in practice.
Is in practice.
Yeah.
And he's getting on people for effort. It's really 2 things. Effort, I'll say 3. Not knowing the plays, and like how you respond.
To coaching, yeah.
To the coaching that he's giving you.
Yeah.
Like, what's your body language going to be like? Are you talking back? Are you sulking? Right? Like, these are real things that parents, y'all probably don't see your child do in practice. So, like, watch this and go to your son or daughter and be like, hey, what are you like when coach yells at you?
Well, there's too many parents in school, athletics, whatever they do.
Your kid isn't a saint.
Yeah, there's too many of y'all that are trying to defend everything they do. There's a time and a place for it, but back in the day, and I'm not saying this is necessarily right. If a teacher or a coach accused you of doing something wrong, you was getting spanked. Before you even can explain yourself. Right. You don't even. You couldn't even done anything. You may not even done nothing.
They anticipated you doing something bad and still got spanked.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's right, but now it's like, no, my kid would never. You know, you know, he must have or she must have, you know, been around it must have been, you know, their friends and they influenced them, and or it must be the teacher or the coach's fault. You know, he or she doesn't act that way when they're at home, and it's like, nah, man, y'all got to stop trying to put band-aids around the things that your kids do, because at the end of the day, you're enabling them, and they have to face consequences, right? So,
the last thing I'll say for Last Chance U that resonated me, because I'm kind of at that turning point where he's like, I think they're winning games, but the way they're winning, he said, like, at this point, because they're super talented, they had won some or lost some games that they probably shouldn't have lost, but I think he almost got too much talent, and he said, I'm going to coach to the standard and the culture that I built that reflects me, meaning I want to play guys that don't care about scoring. They don't care about hitting a 3 and then doing this and a dunk. No. Like, I'm playing the guys that are going to be gritty, they're going to be tough, they're going to communicate, because that's who I am. Like, if I'm the coach of a team, the players reflect me as a coach.
Right.
So that's what I'm going with. And some coaches don't do that. They get caught up in, well, this kid is super talented, so I'm gonna let things slide, and he can say whatever he wants. He can coast in practice. No, like, I'm not saying Mosley did that, but he, in a way, kind of bit him in the butt with the talent that he has. So yeah, man, like, you got to stay true to your identity, and as a coach, you got to recruit players that reflect your identity.
Right. And you literally took the next thing that I was about to say. And he actually said this verbatim. He said, I got to put the dogs out there.
Yeah.
So I got to put the dogs out there. Got to put the dogs out there.
We need a dog drop. Yeah. We need a dog drop.
And he said, I got to stop playing dudes because, you know, they came from this school or they were this star in high school. And like you said, you know, he had to go back to who he was. And a lot of coaches
trying to win games.
They don't really know who they don't have a true identity in a true culture. It kind of sways with whoever they get. I can speak for this at the Division III level because at that level it's tough. It's tough.
That's probably similar. JUCO.
There's similar challenges in the sense that like JUCO probably has more guys with character issues or behavioral issues.
Yeah, that's what I was
and they have more. A lot of them are more talented. You know, just keeping it a buck. But the sense that it's tough to have, you know, guys really buy in to a long-term vision and into a system and, you know, into being patient when you really don't have a ton of perks to playing, right? Like JUCO and part of Division III players are really the players that no one wanted. It doesn't mean that they're not good, that they're not talented, but they're the leftovers. I mean, I hate to say it that way. I mean, I played Division III, so I can say it, myself. It doesn't mean that again. I couldn't hoop or whatever, but I said this or I put this down as something to talk about, and I think it's a good segue. Just to really educate parents and players, because a lot of y'all, rightfully so, want to go D1, right? Obviously, there's a ton of benefits to going Division I, and I'm not saying that shouldn't be your goal, but we have to be realistic. At some point, especially now.
At some point.
Because of the way things have transpired with the transfer portal, it's made going Division I way harder, right? So if you look at the way college coaches recruit their roster, right? The top priority is transfer portal. So what Division I players have entered themselves into the transfer portal?
Division I players with experience, they're older.
Yep.
They understand the culture, not the culture, but they just understand how Division I works.
Right. And that could be graduate seniors or, upperclassmen.
Or there's kids that had really good freshman years or sophomore years, and they want to, test the waters and potentially go to a bigger school.
And there's some Division II kids that go crazy, and they end up, transferring to a Division I school. So, number one, they're going to look at who's in the transfer portal. Number two, they're going to look at prep. Prep is pretty much a postgraduate high school year. Prep is kind of the upper class version of JUCO, pretty much. So, you graduate from high school, you go to an academy where they allow you to, obviously get your education, but you're really there to play a sport. It's usually kids that are late bloomers or kind of want to up their recruiting, their recruiting profile and polish that up and put themselves in a position to get to a higher level school than they would if they just came out of out of high school. So that's the second group they're going to look at. Then JUCO. JUCO arguably has more talent than prep. It's just, again, there's kids who didn't have the grades, behavioral issues, or, transferring down from a Division I to Division II to kind of figure out how they're going to get to their next Division I or Division II. And then the last group of people that they recruit is high school kids. So if you're in high school,
depending on your talent,
right? And if you're not getting offers by your early on in your senior year,
and this is who he's really talking to. If you're the goods, you're nice, you're gonna get recruited. But if you're kind of on the cusp and, maybe you're not on the radar, that's kind of the pecking order of what these coaches are, looking for when it comes to players.
Right, and even if you're nice, you still may not get
it's not
recruited,
guaranteed.
because there's a lot of things that play into it, right? I talked about this in episode, I think 95 or 94. Like, you have to prepare for the position you're going to play in college. I know guys who were 6'4", power forwards, centers in high school, and were all everything, but they only got Division III offers. Why? Because they're 6'4" post. I mean, I know guys who, went crazy in high school, but it's like you're 5'9", 5'10", 150-pound guard, and you can't like dunk on somebody. So, I mean, Division I, you're playing against grown men. Like, let's just call it what it is. Like, Stetson Bennett from Georgia is 25 years old, and this is a completely different sport. But like, I remember Florida State a couple of years back. Their average age was like 23.
Nah, dude, like at Elon, like I was young. Like by the time I was a junior, like Basti, like that whole class, they're all like 23, 22, 23.
Yeah,
and I'm like 19.
Yeah. So the point is, in kind of wrapping this up, when we talk about Last Chance U and even the other options we talked about, like JUCO, it has a bad rap, but don't be too good for JUCO. A lot of NBA players went to JUCOs. Don't be too good for prep, right? Especially if you have good grades. Like, prep should be an option for a lot of people if you can get a scholarship or you can afford it. But
Brandon, our brother, and I know something he probably regrets, but Brandon, this dude Brandon probably logged his entire varsity high school career 10 minutes, like total.
It was more than that because they smacked a lot of teams. But
you're right. Yeah. Meaningful minutes.
He didn't. Meaningful minutes. He didn't play a lot of. He didn't play in a lot of competitive. Games.
Meaningful.
It's not because he wasn't good enough. They just politics, and they had a really good team.
And this dude literally went to school for 2 years, like as a regular student.
Yeah, just like
decided he wanted to chase his dream of playing college basketball. Went to a JUCO, CCBC Essex. Didn't have the greatest first year, but the second year he killed. Ended up getting a scholarship offer to play Division II. So, to your point, JUCO can really like save people. If you have the right mindset.
It does.
And execute on what you're trying to do. So.
But it's dog eat dog at JUCO.
Yeah, like I said, you got the right mindset.
To me, it's like the rawest form of basketball because everybody has something to lose, and I love that because you can't take a night off. Like you can't take a night off in practice.
No,
because guess what? That person who's playing behind you, like you said, he may have a kid who he's like, if I don't get overseas, if I don't get to a 4-year school, like I'm gonna be in the streets.
Yeah,
I don't know if my kid's gonna eat, right? So,
the kid, what was it, Deshaun something? No parents, like literally, it was like him and his girlfriend
raising himself.
Yeah, like crazy.
It's a crazy story, but it's also beautiful to see, and I think that's why Coach Mosley, and he says it, that part of why he does what he does is this is like a ministry to him.
No, it is.
He actually, I forgot to say this, but he went to East LA College as a player. He was like in the streets, and he ended up,
that's
playing
why he
overseas.
cares so much.
Yeah, he was these kids. He was these kids at some point.
That's why the passion is there.
And he went overseas, ended up like giving his life to Christ, and now he's.
She gonna hear about that. She gonna hear about that later. She gonna hear about
that. That's a sign, man. It's time to wrap this thing up.
She gonna hear about that later.
Yeah, the main message is get to know people before you judge them and criticize, and be a dog, man. You know what I'm saying? If you're a dog, you're a dog.
We're gonna get the drop.
They gotta put you in the game eventually. They gotta put you in the game eventually.
96.
Clock in.
So you know it's a good beat when he's bobbing his head. You know, usually he's humble. He just be chilling, but when he's bobbing his head, you already know it's
Real recognized real, man.
We on our Grussle.
Appreciate y'all, man. See y'all next week. 97. God willing. Yes, sir.
Clock in.